Welcome back. Welcome back to the Kovacs Report. It's time to take a look at the Age of Revelation tie-ins this week. We're going to kick off with Iron and Frost. Yes, Iron Man and Emma Frost, they're teaming up for this tie-in. A 3-issue miniseries, much like all the other miniseries which are tying into Age of Revelation, which, let's be honest, aren't doing so great, okay? They're not great books. They don't seem to be having any kind of effect on the main storyline, or kind of feel like they're even connected to the main storyline. But Iron and Frost was one of the books that sort of stood out of the crowd because of this interesting concept, which we're going to get to in a second, because I am going to go through it page by page. There will be spoilers. Read the book first if you don't want sport. Like the video if you can. And hit subscribe. Just give it a little click. You've got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose at all. So let's take a look. Cavan Scott, Ruairí Coleman. The art's nice enough, you know. I mean, I've got no complaints. It looks okay. I'm not blown away, but then again, I'm not disappointed in the art. So the art is solid, let's just say. We've got Iron Man, Emma Frost, like I said, War Machine, Landslide, and Phaser, who is one of Revelation's Seraphs. He's a bad guy. Okay, that is the lineup for this issue. And a few surprises and a few disappointments, actually. Now, this whole issue really does feel like a sort of like, let's please the fans with a little romance between Tony and Emma. And it is very, very forced. Now, this book has a lot of action to it. A lot of action. It is very fast-paced in most parts, for the better, okay? I'm going to say that it's for the better. But it's lacking, okay? It's lacking the heart, really. And I know that's ironic because that's exactly what Emma Frost is missing herself in this story. But it's lacking heart because it feels very forced, this love affair between the two of them, the emotions that Emma's trying to convey. It is very, very, very forced. And again, it does feel like it's a story written to placate fans who like seeing these two together, which is unfortunate because it's such a great idea. Well, what is that idea? In the last issue, after a big fight, Emma Frost was blasted through the chest and it destroyed her heart or parts of her body, so she had to revert to her diamond form to stay alive. Now, that means she can't use her psychic powers, because she can only do that in her non-diamond form. But if she does go into her non-diamond form, she's going to die, which is ironic because that's exactly the position Tony Stark was in when he made his little device to keep his ticker ticking, let's just say. So that's the reversal. But what's on the other side? Well, Iron Man has had to take this hardened outer shell, just like she has. So there we see it. There we see the interesting concept, right? They have this thing in common. They were lovers in the past. They've hated each other in the past. It sounds like a good mix. Now, let's get to the story. Well, she comes in and we find that this Iron King, who was revealed at the end of the last issue, is very much that. He is very robotic. He's hard exterior, very cold person. He's not the Tony we used to love. Now, she goes to touch him and he pushes her hand away gently and says, "We do not like being touched." And he explains that there was a malfunction in his armor, the Mark 74 filtration system, in fact, and the contamination from the X-Virus got him, and that's what changed him. He evolved, essentially. Now, while they're chit-chatting away, we hear a voice off panel, and it's good old War Machine. Good old War Machine. He's incoming. And we find out a Landslide, this arbitrary, boring mutant, which no one's really interested in, which will probably vanish after this whole Age Revelation storyline, is Rhodey's daughter. Yes, he has a daughter. Somewhere in the last 10 years, Rhodey's been up to no good, and he's got himself a kid. I wonder who the mother is. Maybe she died. I don't know. But he's coming in hot because he's being pursued by Phaser, one of the acolytes of Revelation. And Phaser wants to kill. Now, she runs towards the danger. And of course, James Rhodes, a.k.a. War Machine, says, don't, stop. But she's having none of it. So she uses her sort of geokinetic powers, forms a sort of Iceman bridge, but out of Earth to get up there and help, right? So the battle ensues. War Machine gets hit big time and goes flying down to a big boom, boom. And she screams, "James!" And she runs over. Old Emma Frost, she's running over, you know, and she goes to sort of see if he's okay. And Iron Man puts his hand on his shoulder to hold her back in case there's danger. For some reason, she just turns around and knocks the fuck out of him. I mean, why? Why don't I just say, "Get off, don't touch me"? She has to knock the hell out of him. Crack! A big crack. I'm like, what? You're not the only one who doesn't like being touched, Your Majesty. Thinking, whoa, okay, slow down, sister. What's going on here? Anyway, his suit is damaged. He's on fire. We've got to get that suit off because he's going to die from it. But that means, of course, the filtration system is going to stop working, and that means that X-Gene can get in there and start ravaging him. And that's exactly what starts happening. Now, Iron King here, he flies off to take Phaser out. while James Rhodes is being pulled into the little, well, it's a lab, isn't it? It's like a little workshop that Iron Man has made. And he's working on something very, very interesting, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, he hasn't been idle during Age of Revelation. He's been hiding away here, doing what he does best, which is inventing. Now, we also see there's other people in there in containment units, let's just say. Maybe that is staving off the virus. Maybe they've got the virus and it's keeping it at bay, because we're going to find out very, very soon that he is, in actual fact, working on a cure. Yes, a cure. Now, this is one of the things I find a little bit weird. Now, if he is working on a cure and he is Iron Man, you know, he is resourceful, he knows how to do things, why doesn't anyone else know about it? Has he kept it secret? Why would he keep it secret? You know, I don't know why. It seems strange. Now, some people can say, well, wants to protect, you know, their secret hideout. And if Revelation knew that he's working on a virus, maybe he'd attack, find out where he is. I don't know. But there could be a way in secret of getting help from everyone else in the Age of Revelation, right? I don't know. Why is that secret? It's a bit strange. Anyway. Right. He's been off on a mission, by the way, old War Machine, and he has this item that Tony sent him out to get. He wants to let him know. Now, he falls out of the suit because Tony unlocks it because he was trapped before. But why didn't he unlock him earlier? I don't know. It's quite clear he needs to get out of the suit and it's killing him. Anyway, he falls to the ground and that mutation starts ravaging him while Tony takes out Phaser rather brutally, actually. That was pretty cool. Yes, very mercilessly cracks his neck by the looks of it. And Phaser, he's no more. Now, back in the workshop, they're trying to save James. And his daughter here, Landslide, she gets out the Retrogen, okay, which is this cure they're working on. It's not quite perfected yet, but she gives him a good stabbing and starts injecting that hopeful cure. And it doesn't seem to be working. We're in a bit of a mess. It says the mutagenic levels are still rising. Cell reconstruction at 79%. But we can go again, because if we can flood the system with this stuff, that might do it. That might save him. But you get old Iron Man, he comes down. And he says, listen, it's probably too late. We need to isolate the patient. But the daughter's saying she's not having any of it. She doesn't want it to happen. She wants to try and save him. She wants to save him right now. And Iron Man gets a bit tough. He says, you are risking the program. Insubordination will not be tolerated. And it's like he's kind of like I said, very, very robotic. It's very much, does this affect the mission? Yes. Then stop her, at no costs, at any cost rather. Anyway, James Rhodes with his new powers blasts, gives him a huge blast and he slams to the floor. And then we see him speak in a very different word balloon. We see him speak as Tony. So we realize that Tony is actually still in there somewhere. And we start learning over the next few pages that basically this sort of more robotic suit version of Tony is the dominant persona in there. And it's been keeping Tony sort of subdued, okay, which is really, really interesting. Maybe that was something that Tony designed. So, it can just focus on finding the cure. I don't know. But anyway, Tony is in there. Tony is in there. And for a moment, he recognizes good old Emma Frost. And you can feel the love between them again. It gets more and more forced when you read the dialogue. When you read the dialogue, you'll know what I mean. Anyway, the file system of the suit starts combating the fact that Tony's sort of kind of temporarily back in control, starts locking him away, trying to delete memories and all sorts of things. It's very, very interesting, especially the memory of the fact that James Rhodes has come back with an item from a classified mission. So what I think is happening here is that Tony is giving James these secret missions away from the other part of his persona, the suit, to construct something. Maybe it's a heart for Emma Frost because he never stopped trying. I don't know. That's probably where it's going. We know, right? We know. Or maybe it's something to do with the cure. But I guess if it's something to do with the cure, the robot side of him would want it. So I guess it's going to be exactly that. It's like, I never stopped thinking about you. I never stopped thinking how to cure you. We're going to get this saccharine sweet romantic moment in issue 3 somewhere. Anyway, the robot's back in charge and the zaps start going. We're in trouble. And Iron Man, he decides that he needs to purge. He needs to purge all the test subjects and everything before this virus gets out of hand. And of course, everyone else is saying, no, wait, let's just try and get James, another jab of this stuff. And that's what happens. But Landslide can't get near or she'll get burnt. So, of course, Emma Frost, because she's done nothing this entire issue, decides that, well, I can get through those flames because I can't be damaged because of my diamond body. Gives him the second injection. And guess what? It stabilizes him and he starts returning back to a normal form. And the old Iron Man agrees that everything's okay. So they start chatting about this cure. They start saying it's a stopgap. It's a sort of a new strain of the extremis. And it's like a genetic manipulator. And it halts, kind of tries to halt further mutations to turn back the clock wherever possible. But that's the theory. That's the theory. Now, Tony checks everything is all cool. The stasis fields are holding. Everyone's happy. And we start finding out again. We get this silly little romantic, not romantic moment, but this little father and daughter moment just thrown in one panel. Just to say, hey, they love each other because they're well, we know that. They're just thrown in. There's lots of this forced emotion. I think this issue was all action and they wanted to put some kind of heart into it. So you feel like it's sort of bolted in where there's a spare panel. Anyway. Now, Landslide believes that they can get through to Tony and they can do all sorts of things with Emma's powers, but she can't use them, of course, because she'll die. Now, there's a little joke here that Rhodes makes that says, you need to come here to ask the Tin Man for a new heart. That's a Wizard of Oz reference. Very, very clever. And that's thrown in there. And she says, listen, I can't stay like this, unable to touch another mind. I've never been alone in my thoughts, not since my powers first manifested. It's suffocating. I hoped you could help, Anthony, build one of your ludicrous toys. And this is where we're having this huge forced moment about Emma. And I don't think Emma would be like that. She is a badass motherfucker, right? She can do anything. She's been through hell and back so many times. This seems to me an inconvenience at most. But here we have it. Now, this is where the duality of Tony Stark and Iron Man start fighting, okay? Because he wants to help her, of course, the Tony part, but the robot's like, no, why should I do this? This is not happening. Anyway, this starts bringing Tony out a bit more, but the robot obviously overcomes it. And while that's happening, the mutagen, not the mutagen, whatever it's called, the retrogen cure thing that they're working on just starts breaking down. And good old James Rhodes starts going into a bit of a spasm. The powers are taking over. It's looking very, very dangerous. He starts exploding. He's threatening all of their lives here because this mutation is going wrong. And the Iron King fights off Tony's persona to take control and blast the living shit of James Rhodes, his best friend, which again is it's a sad moment. These guys are best friends, right? If you've read any Iron Man in the past, you'll know how close these two are. They're like brothers, so you have got all of these sort of moments that should really, really resonate. Oh my God, he's had to kill his own friend, Emma's there, the love of his life, the heart's missing, everything else. But it just falls a little bit flat because you've been through all the other pages of sort of forced emotion. Now, on the whole, it wasn't actually a bad issue. The first time I read it, I really didn't like it. So I've read it 3 times just to make sure I've not just gone down that route of, yeah, it's not good, move on. I wanted to look and find some positives about it. So there are positives. I think I've highlighted them all. But on the whole, it's another series from the Age of Revelation, which isn't really doing much. Really? They're what ifs. I've been saying it every video. They're just what ifs. They're Marvel what ifs. What if we were 10 years in the future and this happened? They don't seem to be making any difference to anything, really. And again, this is teen romance fiction. That's where it's headed. The 3rd issue will be Iron Man. Tony Stark comes up with a cure for a heart, probably. Unless there's a little, I don't know, bait and switch, and Cavan Scott says, no, this is going to be a tragedy, and, she dies or he dies, I don't know. Well, that's where we're going. It feels very much like one of those throwaway stories. You read for 3 issues. Most of the characters are out of character. They've thrown in some other characters which kind of won't exist after this is all gone and reverted back to the normal timeline. So there we have it. It's okay. I'm actually going to read issue 3 because I'd like to see where they go with it, really. And also because, Iron Man's one of my favorite characters of all time. So I've got to keep up to date, right? Got to keep up to date. So we have it. It's not bad. It's not great, Make a cup of coffee, read it, and get back to work because that's how I feel about it. So those are thoughts. As usual, let me know yours in the comments. Like the video if you can and hit that subscribe button. I'd really, really appreciate it. See you next time.